Excellent. We've got a template now. We're ready to do an assignment with our template. So what we've got here, what I want to do in this is the actual first drawing assignment we've done. Wow, feels like such a milestone. It's great. So, oh yeah, what I was going to do is just look at, we should have finished and uploaded that DWT and the PDF for the template. That's this one should be done and out of the way. Now this is the CAD 1108 spacer number one. We do a lot of spacers. We do a lot of blah. I don't know what else do we do. It seems like there's a lot. I kind of keep a running list of we have repetitive names is what I've noticed. And so this is spacer number one. I guarantee before the end of the semester we're gonna have some other spacers. Maybe, I don't know. I just call it spacer number one in case. But essentially this is what we're gonna want to end up with is we've already created our title block, so our template. We should be able to have our template and upload maybe the new date and the new assignment name on what we created last time, and then draw this thing. So in order to draw this, and this is what you're going to be able to turn in, is this finished object, just a nice 2D one view, simple view of an object. We don't have, it's very unglamorous. We don't know how deep this thing is or anything about this other than, so we're just looking at a single view, real simple start. We haven't started doing orthographic views yet. We'll just do a few of these simple views. What you need to, in order to do this, I don't need you to dimension it all out. We'll talk about dimensions really specifically coming up very soon. We don't not dimension very long, but for these first couple assignments, we don't have to worry about dimensioning. But what you do need in order to do it is you do need the dimensions of what you got to draw. And so that's what I have here. I should upload a file that you could download. I just have this image here. Now that I think about this, I probably will start adding some files, the actual PDF files with the dimensions. So this will get a little bit better what I found since second year teaching here is that uh, some of the stuff that I did later, I didn't do earlier. That's why I'm recreating a lot of it right now. And I think I will go back and upload the PDFs that I have of some of these. So as a resource. So you don't have to just take a screenshot of this or whatever. But essentially what I need to have is this up on my screen to reference this. Yeah. And so I can just take a snip or a screenshot of this. I don't know if you guys, this is another little side note. I use my snipping tool all the time. Snipping tool, right? It's probably just redundant for some people, but some people you might not know that your Windows 11 here is loaded with the snipping tool. Microsoft super helpful to take screenshots. So here's my snipping tool. Um, I'm gonna take a snip of this, like a new snip is what I want here. Yeah, there's my new snip. This is one way that I can use. I didn't upload the PDF, so this I just took a snip of that. I'm gonna move that over to my other screen just so I get the dimensions correct when I go to draw this, and then we'll insert it on our template. We'll put it in the viewport so it can be seen into our template. Excellent. So I'm ready to go to CAD and pull this up. So CAD, I'm here. I'm going to open my template. So I'm going to open my template file wherever I have it. Here's maybe I open with that one quite a bit, but you could open here too. Open files. It wants to open a template file, but I actually want to do the one that I've created. I'm not going to use one. I know I used one of theirs to base off of, but this time I'm going to use uh, the one that I've spent all the time with on the last assignment. I think I kept mine in my general area right there. Heck yes, open it. Great. Yep. We haven't finished the border on the 11 by 17, but we will probably next week. It'll be good to redo what we just did here one more time and do that and kind of reinforce and kind of try to jog our memory of what we did. But really, I'm ready to draw on this thing now. Eventually, I'll come back and change probably the date and the assignment title from what it was last time I created it. But right now, this is the template file. And so my normal procedure will be I open my template file. I don't want to draw on my template file. Like I want it to kind of stay like this. And so I do a once I use this to now create a children or an assignment or a drawing. And so this is the parent. So let's save as and get away from this thing so we don't like do something to this that we'll regret. So I'm gonna do a save as right off the get-go. And I'm saving this one as a drawing file now. So I'm going to say save as a drawing. I'll just pick the upper one. It's a 2018 drawing. It just seems to be what's auto, like it doesn't say 2025 drawing, but it's like the newest format it wants you to save as is 2018. That's helpful if you're sharing stuff with people that have way older versions. Like I said, people probably bought legacy versions of CAD where they paid it a one lump sum and they don't ever want to upgrade because they've already got it and it works good for them, but it's actually 2010 AutoCAD. Well, you might have to sometimes you have to save files as older file types in order to deliver it to someone. This happens to me a lot when I do side work and I work with other people that don't have the access that I have to the most modern programs. They're using legacy stuff. So I have to be aware of what file type I can share and send. And if you remember from the beginning of the year, old programs don't like to open stuff that's been created on new programs, but old programs will open up stuff that's even older than them. So anyway, that's why we have so many options on kind of older programming here. But I'm going to go with the latest, just normal AutoCAD one, which is 2018. And I'm going to save this because it's going to be an assignment and it was in week two. So I'll probably save this in my week two folder for this course. Um, and I'm going to go ahead and give it the assignment name right here too. So to me, I already know this assignment name is CAD 1108 spacer number one. Yeah, I already have this because I've created it. So but I'm also redoing this for a video. So spacer number one, and I'm just going to say for me is in class. So remember that this is kind of what I covered. Save it. What I need to do is just get the PDF of that and upload it so you guys have the PDF version of the measurements too. But in any rate, the first thing I always do is protect my template and get away from it and create a drawing. So already at the top, I've got DWG as what I'm working off of. So it is my template file in all ways, but it's actually protected my template file, and I'm now a .dwg that I can go to town on and do all kinds of like custom, yeah, specific things to this assignment here. I don't really have to change anything in paper space at this point. I'm ready to actually go draw. So I'm gonna go to model space. I don't care where I draw on here because I have the viewport, which I can move around and figure out where I placed my object. So, and actually where I draw on here doesn't matter. You know me, I'll stay in that positive coordinate area. But other than that, it doesn't matter. And it actually doesn't matter if you didn't. So you have the world is your oyster here in the model space. You can draw wherever you'd like. So I zoom in a little bit. I think I'm just going to draw mine right here. So what I've got is, um, I've got this. So if I kind of think about what I'm doing here is I've got some arcs here, some circles, straight line, little jog here. I get some dimensions here. Some of the dimensioning I might have to figure out. Like I know this is like 6 inches from center to center. What's the overall width here? Well, that's not immediately given, but it is kind of interpretively given. Um, which when I think about it, sometimes that's not the best. That you might make someone have to do some math and mess up. And I could have actually established what the overall width of this is with a dimension. I don't think it would have been redundant. However, I still have it here, even if it's not real recognizable, because I have a radius here. So this is to NASME standard leader line and text here. It's 2 by, this means by 2x 2 by R 1.25, pointing to this radius here. So what that is actually telling me, how I interpret that is I need two of these that have the radius of 1.25. So essentially, it's from the center out to that edge is 1.25 in both directions. So essentially, I need to like double that to know what the diameter across this is. And that diameter across this will be the width of this piece. So that's going to be what? Let me add this in my head. It's going to be 2.5 inches. So this thing is actually 2.5 inches. I did have to do some math. I made, when I created this assignment, I did make someone have to do some math to figure out the overall width. 2.5. This one over here is slightly different if you just want to notice it. This is the entire hole. This is a partial hole or whatever, right? This radius is, or a fillet or whatever around here is just partial. That's why it has the radius call out. This one is an entire hole. So I'm able to use the diameter symbol, and that's really critical. That's ASME standard. So I have 2 by, and why this one has 2 by the way, is because it's this round radius end and this one over here. They are the same. And over here, 2x by a diameter of 1.25. So the actual hole diameter here now, which is normal to on entire holes that are shown to be a diameter with the diameter symbol. And uh, when I'm considering an incomplete circle, it's going to be with a radius given. Um, okay, so I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with just, and then I'll worry about this little notch later. Okay. This stuff has been drawn on the visible object line layer. These have been drawn on, these are called center lines. They're red and they're dashed, short dash, long dash, then short dash, consistent, those are center lines. We don't have to worry about dimensioning ours. I just need the dimensions to do it. So really my drawing is going to consist of some object lines and some center lines. All right, let's do it. I'm going to make those arcs with full circles and I'm going to trim them. This is just a way to do it. So anytime you see me draw, there's so many ways that somebody sees that shape and what they wanted and how they want to modify their existing draw commands to draw. So there's like the way I draw this is one way of many. So the first thing I'm going to start with is maybe a center radius circle. It's kind of helpful to start. So I'm going to pick circle, center radius. I'm going to pick this center. Already I'm on the wrong layer, so I'm just going to abandon ship, escape, escape, escape. And I want to go to the visible layer, visible object layer. Yeah. Not that the end, I could have kept drawing and just pushed it. It's no big deal. But because you like you say, it's gonna, or like I say, it's gonna happen to me all the time. I'm on the right layer now, visible object. I want my circle to be a radius of 1.25. So I'm going to do the outer fillets first, kind of the outer profile of this shape, and then I'll add the circles, maybe the whole circles later or something. But this is 1.25, so I can just enter that in as the radius of this. Super good. The grips that this thing has available to me would definitely be a center grip and quadrant grips if I have them toggled on down here, which I do. I have my quadrants and I have my center grips turned on. There's a lot of ways to get that over. Like really the whole thing from the center of this over is 6 inches. That's what this thing is showing right here. This 6. Like what I've actually drawn is a complete circle right here. It actually continues on right here. So it's a complete circle that I've just drawn. That's that big of a radius. I'm gonna maybe move another one over 6 inches. So there's a lot of different ways I can do that. So I'll show you how I use my construction work to do some of this. So I use my construction layer a lot. Like I might come up here and select my construction layer. I might use a line. I might put this line and hook it to the center of that, and then I might pull it this way, and I might put in the input as 6 inches. So I'm kind of using this as almost like a little ruler that I lay down, and then it gives me a place to place the other circle. It's in perfect orthographic alignment, straight across. It's 6 inches from center to the end point of this line. So I'm kind of using this from center to center for this next hole placement. And I could actually grab the circle again and redraw another one here, or I could use the copy command, copy this thing. So I copy, select objects. If I ever get it there, it has to highlight that to be selected. I only want to copy that one thing, so I'm just going to say enter, even though I could do a lot of multiple selections. Just that one. The base point, yeah, from the center line. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. I'm catching the end point there, but sometimes if you reference that and then come in, it'll let you pick. But either way, I'm copying it. The end point of the line and the center of the circle were the same. So it didn't really matter which like grip was showing up. But sometimes it does, and sometimes I have to toggle those off because they get a little bit they get a little bit hard to see. But where I really want to copy it to is to that endpoint grip there. Nice. Oh, cool. So then really the overall shape, so maybe I'll piece it in kind of full, and then we'll do some trimming. So like here's a line, and maybe I'm going to take it from the very top dead center, which is that quadrant. And I want it to go over to this one and that same and a quadrant that might pick up here. Yeah, that's going to be a point of tangency. The very quadrant of this circle is also like where this line is now tangent to the circle. So these should essentially be touching each other. If I zoomed way in, it gets kind of hard to exactly tell, but when you go to trim, sometimes you notice what hasn't been connected. So there's that. Excellent. And then, we could copy that down if we wanted to, or I can just redraw that. So, like I say, a lot of different ways. In order for that little diamond grip to show up to do this, I would have to have it selected though, right? Quadrant right there. So that's kind of cool. That's this is because I said this when we were learning how to draw with these commands, is sometimes I draw more than I need and then I trim it to fit. So that's going to be the case here. Um, I'm going to use the trim to just trim the inner. I don't need this inner part of the circle. I just needed the overall outline of the part. And this is sometimes how I start a lot of shapes, is the overall outline. Get an idea of how big it is. Drawn in 1:1, so these are all true to length sizes. So I'm just going to trim this. You'll notice that it trims, and whatever layer I have up and whatever lines I have, they're going to be like boundaries to trim to. So, if I was annoyed by this, I could always turn off the construction layer, and then when I go to trim, it should just be from there to there. It's not, I would have just had to click a couple times, but hey, that's the overall profile. It has a little notch in here, so maybe I'll turn on my construction layer and I might jump over to it. It looked to me like oh sorry, where's my snipping tool? Oh, right there. Sorry, I must have it looks to me like from there over it's 2 inches down, over and up 2 inches. So I could kind of like let me show you how I'll put this little notch in here. I might just use these dimensions to get me there. I might go from the top quadrant of that, just kind of like cursor over 2 inches and then click and then go down a half inch, click and then go over 2 inches with a line command. Sure. I could use polyline, I could use line. I'll just continue to use line as the basic here. But where I'm doing is I'm coming up here to this quadrant or the end point of that line. They're all lining up now. And then I'm going to drag this way and say it's 2 inches over from there. Oh yeah, I'm on the construction layer. Well, if I'm drawing this, I don't need to be on construction. I need to be on visible. So let's do the same thing. Line. I'm going to draw over this way, 2 inches. I didn't actually draw. You won't be able to tell if you double up lines and draw. I can sometimes see it, but and it's not the end of the world if you do that. But I generally do not try to like overlap lines. I don't intentionally do an overlap line. So I didn't draw myself over there. I just cursored over and then I entered a number. So I never had clicked. I just hovered. Like the difference in like drawing over, and if you drew over that, you wouldn't be able to tell there's a line on a line. I wouldn't be able to tell. Um, and so, but I make it as best practice not to trace too many lines over the top of lines unless I am intentionally doing that. But um, so when I come to here, I'm not clicking. I am just like hovering. Then I'm pulling in that direction and using that like polar tracking feature to just like say go over 2 inches from where I'm at there. And then I'm going to go down and then I'm actually going to click there. And then I'm going to pull down and say it's a half inch. And if and what orthographic mode on the status bar is this little right angle thing. It allows you to stay in horizontal and vertical alignment, right? So F8. So this is a good reason why I might say I need this to be a half inch down, perfectly straight up and down. I'm there with that green tracking. It looks pretty good. I can see the 90 degrees. There's a lot of references here that I don't need it. But in the how people use ortho mode is they would toggle on ortho mode. If I hit F8, I'm going to pull this slightly crooked. If I hit F8, it binds me to being straight up and down here. I can either only draw left, vertical or horizontal. So that allows me to not make a mistake in pulling something slightly askew. So 0.5 is how far this needs to go down. Perfect. So I entered and clicked there. And then over here, I'm still in ortho mode. It really helps me draw a nice, 90-degree. It's 2 inches over. I'm still in ortho mode. See, it only allows me to do that. So I'm going to just go up here and terminate right there at a perpendicular grip. Then I'm going to escape. And sometimes I turn off ortho mode after that. I only turn on when I need it, but that is where the slot would be. Of course, I need to trim out this. So I'm just going to pick trim, get rid of that. Excellent. And then I just need a couple more circles at the center there. They were given to me in diameters, 1.25 diameter. So I'll do this a couple different ways. I could do circle with center diameter. Perfect. Center is there, shares this center. The diameter is, and it's telling me specified diameter center, it's 0.125, like that. I could copy that over to the end of that too. So I could use copy and move it, but I'll do the other center. I just want to show this center radius. What if I picked that in here? Well, I'd have to do some math to figure out what's half of 1.25, or even though I picked the center radius one, down on the command line, it says D for diameter, D, enter. Now specify the diameter. Oh, it's 1.25. So that's why I'm usually just a center radius circle user with the option of always inputting a diameter with D. So this thing is the visible object lines of this are done. So this is good. This is just that. Now I just need some center lines here because I'm not dimensioning. I just need center lines. I can check if I've got things right, right? I like my measure. Now that we have a little bit more going on here, if I use that quick measurement, I kind of think it's cool, but it's like it gets a little crazy as you jump around. And it will also any kind of lines you have will break up its measurements, right? So it's hard to maybe get the whole, but you're getting, I love this because you just get a lot of data with whatever this thing touches. Yeah, that's great. I like what I'm looking at here. This is what you should really get in the habit of checking this stuff. It's not ideal to go find out that it's wrong when you're dimensioning it because it's just rework at that point. And so you really should get in the habit of checking this in model space that things are correct. Don't let the dimensioning figure out that you have to fix something in model space. So it still happens. It's just I try to minimize it. Yeah, that's good. And now center lines. So I don't really think I need my construction line on right now. I just need to do the center lines. So I don't know if you guys have used these for second year students, but here's how I'm going to do the center lines on this. I have a center line. I have this center line layer, so I'm going to go to that for sure. Center lines are red. They're thin lines. They're lightweight. They're lightweights. I mean, they're like point zero point. Well, I don't know. Well, let's look. I can stumble on my words or I can just look. Center lines are quite, are they 0.3? This doesn't look right. I think this is wrong. Wait a minute. All these are wrong. I have a different template that I'm using. I think there was an inaccurate one. I thought I made, oh no. It's funny that I found this in the middle of my video. I can fix this. Stand by. Um, this was, okay. I don't know where I must have opened up a different template when I brought these in. It's probably on my other video too, actually. But, this is what happens. This is what happens. I'm gonna do a slight modification. Now you'll see me. You guys won't have this issue with me because the line type layers, it's bringing back to my mind that I had a huge line type layer issue right off the get-go last semester, and I had to really sit down and figure out which they were all supposed to be. And so I created that document that we used when we created. So just bear with me. I'm going to actually take care of this. I'm going to be right back. So. Okay, problem solved. I fixed it. Yeah, that's. I'm gonna have to go back to my template and fix that. My problem is I have several templates because I built this quite a few different times, and yeah, that took a little bit to figure out what I had a lot of different documentation last year, and so the one that I have that you did is just what I want it to be. So the way we created them in class together is exactly right, and I've just replicated that now. If I go back to this. Sorry, right here. This is exactly what we replicated in class together. So I've just fixed mine up. I'm ready to go to town. It's funny that came to my mind because I was thinking of just center lines being a really light line, and then I just wanted to check that it is, and it wasn't. And so I knew that I'd brought in an old set of layers, and so I had to be careful. But I fixed them. So what I want to do is I'm on the center layer to draw, and I just need to finish center lines. So I want to show you this. I could just draw lines and because these would be center lines, they would have that line type. And there I just drew I drew the same line, but it's because I'm on that layer with that line type associated with it that it looks like that. And so that's what I want to have go there. But I'm going to show you a little quick command. When it comes to circles and rounds, I like to use, especially when I need a center line on a full circle like this, I want to use the annotate tab. It has a nice little quick center mark here. It has this center line palette for center lines and center marks. And I use the heck out of these. So I'm going to take a center mark. And it just says select arc, circle or arc to add center mark. So I could add, if I choose this one, that's what the center mark is going to be. It's going to be out to the edges of that. I'll undo that real quick. And if I choose the circle, it's just going to be out to the edges of that. So what I might want to do is just reference my sheet. Really, the center marks go beyond to the outer one, and that's because an ASME standard dimension that we're going to get memorize is that center lines should extend a quarter of an inch past their object. So these technically are a quarter of an inch past the object's visible lines. The reason why I wouldn't do the circle, the whole, and just have that one center line, it's because really the circle and this radius share a center. They have a shared center. And so if I'm dropping a center line here, I actually wanted to incorporate both kind of features of this part or this object. So I want to include the whole and the radius in marking a center of it. So I'm going to choose the they're modifiable too. If I would have chose the whole and it was a little bit small, I could stretch it, fix it, and it's not the end of deal. So maybe I'll do it either way. But if I was really thinking ahead, I just want, since they share the same center, I want this to be what I'm going to mark. And the difference would be is if I marked this one like that. But I'm going to fix both these. What I want to show you this because I have my properties panel next door to me here. This, if I select this particular center mark, kind of if I zoom in on here, it has like the end of the center mark grip, and then it has this little like extension with a triangle on it. What's going on if I come over here to my properties panel is I've got these extensions, and so I'm just going down here to what layer it's on in this geometry. This is the geometry of the center mark. It gives me a cross size. That's the size in here. The cross size is 0.1. Cross gap. Or is there a gap in the middle? I can't remember if I think it's the gap where, yeah, this gap right here is this 0.05. That's default, by the way. And then the extensions are 0.12. Like I said, this is not, I don't know if I found where to pre-program my template to have 0.25. I should do some digging now I think about it, but I'm not so sure if it's not just have to be stuck on this default. But essentially what it is in this particular case, I really want quarter inch extensions, not 0.12. It matters in ASME. So 0.25 is what I want here. And I'm just going to go down here and make every one 0.25 of extension. And then we'll deal with this middle one in just a second. But so I'm just staying over here. I did that one, and then I pushed enter, and it went down to the next one, 0.25, next one, 0.25, next one, 0.25. So it's not too bad to change those to be where I want them to be. Now, in this case, it wouldn't exactly work for me that way. This one, I only marked it to the center, but I actually wanted to just match that over there. So what I was going to show you is even if you've chosen the wrong thing and you realize later, oh, I actually need that to be incorporated in with it since they share the same center. This has a grip. I might just grip that and pull that to there. It still has that little bit of an extension. So this works. This will also work. It's got some manual grips. I definitely don't want to pull it out of alignment though. And then I do want these to be the 0.25. So the left extension, that's this one I just did. I definitely want it to be quarter inch extension. Right extension, it's not really that big of a deal. I'm gonna modify that a little bit more. But if I did put it on there, top extension, I need it to be 0.25, and the bottom extension. So I like that. I'm going to escape that. So I've done a little bit of a modification to that. If you go back to my part here, the last little detail that I'll show is that I've actually now chosen to extend these center lines together. So I've actually pulled these center marks and pulled them together in the middle. And all that does is visually, someone that might use my print to make something, instead of me having to dimension both sides of this, I could simply just what I end up showing here is that those lines are they are on the same plane with each other, like they're in line with each other. They're 6 inches apart, but they're perfectly horizontal from one another. So by extending these center lines, I'm kind of I'm establishing this relationship between those two. They are not, they are not like staggered from one another. So this one I can just pull over to somewhere, I don't know, in the middle. And then this one, I'm going to pull this grip. I don't pull that extension. You could, but I'm just pulling the grip maybe to the center. There'll be a little bit of an overlap here, but that's okay. We do some things I will overlap for sure. Yeah, there's a little bit of an overlap here, but it's kind of unnoticeable on my print in a lot of ways. Like I could maybe see it. It might take a dash place. Well, that'll be all right. This really completes it. I don't need to dimension this. So I'm ready to have this be done on a drawing. So what I've done is I've done all my work in model space. And let's just see how it looks over in the drawing space. I'm going to click on this should be on A size paper, by the way. So I'm going to go to A size. Well, there it is. It's just because that's where my viewport's set up to look. Let's just adjust that. So um, what I do is I'm in paper space when I jump over here. So I'm gonna double click into the viewport, activate it. It's like I'm in model space now. If you remember when I make my templates, I generally lock down the scale size and lock down the location of that, kind of so I know where X, Y is. It's all good. I'm just going to unlock that. And then I'm going to move this thing. Maybe I'll pan first. That's good. But you can see my viewport still cuts off so it doesn't show all the way up on the drawing. That's okay. Just drop it in here. Click out of model space and click onto the paper itself and just modify my viewport so that I don't chop it off. It'll print like this. It'll chop those ends off because my viewport is restricting the window into the model space. So I need to expand that. So here we go. Let's just pull this out and pull this one out. Now I'm just a little bit bigger view into model space. Great. Now I can see it all. Technically, I could really drop this down and not show anything totally unnecessary. And that's a good habit to get into because leaving an excessive viewport is just kind of unnecessary. So there it is. There's the viewport. I'm going to click, I think that's all I'm going to do. I might click back in here. I might turn off the grid for just a minute so I just see that. Oh, that's cool. That looks good. Um, I'm not going to worry like I'm not going to worry if this is perfectly centered on my paper. I generally do it by I would say what we call eyeballing it. I might try to put this roughly centered, but I'm not going to take all the time to measure it out unless I really needed to. But for a lot of times, it's just going to be like, use my space and kind of, I mean, different viewports and what I'm looking at, I might have to adjust where they fit anyway on the drawing. So I'm not worried about it being like perfectly placed, right? So I can turn off the visibility of the viewport edges itself. Like if I turn this off. Oh, I think even if I turn that off, I think it still gives me an idea of where that viewport is because it doesn't want me to lose sight of that. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is probably. Oh, okay. So what the other thing I did is I just scrolled when I was in the viewport. That's going to happen to you a lot, right? Now, and I'm scaling my part now. And so I actually want it to be 1-to-1. It'll fit on my paper 1-to-1. So let's go ahead and keep the view of it 1-to-1, pan it over till it fits in here, and then drop it and leave it, right? No, stay in there and lock it down. Now that won't happen to me again when I jump out. I won't uh I won't let that thing get away from me. But I think this will be pretty good. Like, can you tell? Yeah, I'm a little bit lower than higher. But this is fine. This is really the assignment. I just need to rename it as the spacer. What is it? The CAD 1108 spacer number one? Sure. All caps. Like that. It's my name. It's this date. That's the only thing I had to change. Awesome. I'm going to plot it to PDF, Control P, or hit my control button, but I like to, or hit my quick access button. There's Control P. It's inch size. We already did everything here. We've taken care of all this. We can preview it, make sure we like what it looks like. That's what it's going to look like. I'll zoom around a little bit. You get to see the difference in the bold border versus kind of the moderately bold visible lines and the lighter. Yeah. Oh, there we go. There we'll see the difference. I was wondering why I have to kind of zoom in a little bit, but yeah, there's where it is. Keep zooming. There's bold. That's bold, bold. Nice fine line. That's how it's going to plot and print. So I like this. So play around with that when you see the preview. I'm going to X that out. I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to save this wherever spacers are sold. No, week 2, wherever we did this at. CAD 11.0 spacer for, yeah, I'll just save it here. Done deal. I have my PDF. When I want to go back in here, it always gives you this little warning that, hey, no errors were found. It looks like it plotted just fine. And then I'm just going to save this. Perfect. So I turn in this. This would be turning in a DWG, and this would be turning in uh, the PDF for this. So that'd be the spacer assignment. We'll catch you on the next one.